Copa America, these two countries did battle for third and fourth place, with Mexico beating Chile 1-0 this time around. One of them must leave at the quarter-final stage. The two captains, Pedro Reyes of Chile and Garcia Aspe, the veteran midfielder who's closing in on 100 caps. It's mid-afternoon in Pereira, the sun is shining, but a hint or the possibility of thunderstorms a bit later on. The other semi-final being played this evening actually not far away from here, some 50 kilometers or so in Armenia, and this part of Colombia is the most famous coffee making region of the country. Girls are a bit rough over here though, aren't they?
Well, she doesn't look like she was up all night either. Fantastic views.
Well, both teams started this tournament in sensational style. Chile really did boot the form book up in the air, thrashing Ecuador 4-1 in their opening game with some quality goals as well. Well, Mexico began with that victory over Brazil, which may not be as hard as it once was, but it's still a major scalp. It's just a shame that in their other two group games, neither side impressed particularly. Pedro Garcia in charge of Chile. He took over from Nelson Acosta earlier this year. Bit of a tough act to follow, and lost his first 5 games. Normally if you lose 5 games in a row in South America, you'd be out of a job straight away, but they've stuck with him and he's having a decent tournament so far. As Mexico gather together for their huddle, and their coach is Javier Aguirre, who was a pretty useful striker in his day. Used to play for Mexico up front with Hugo Sanchez a fair bit. He wasn't a bad player, was he?
No, I don't think he really got that noticed, because Sanchez was always the focal point of the team, and obviously a personality, obviously playing by Real Madrid as well. And he probably didn't get the recognition he probably felt he deserved.
Well, Mexico are going to get us off and running without their suspended striker Borghetti. 18 red cards in 18 matches, including the Brazilian boss and his assistant. It's a very high count. It's a record number for the Copa America. The referees certainly don't hang about. This referee, in fact, hasn't sent anyone off in the tournament so far. But in the one game he was in charge of, the Costa Rica game, he did book Paulo Wanshop, so he'll be treading a thin line against Uruguay later in the second semi-final, because 2 yellows lead to red in this tournament. Mexico kick off the 2001 Copa America quarterfinals here in Pereira against a team they have done very well against in recent times, and they might get off to a great start here. It was Rodriguez coming in, and in the opening seconds of the game he perhaps should have put Mexico in front. It might have surprised him as much as it surprised everyone else.
Well, it was an unbelievable start straight from the kickoff. That probably one of the quickest goals of all time. If he could have, really should have scored. He really should have scored it. The keeper did fantastic, but what a start from Mexico. If they'd have got a goal up straight from the kickoff, they then could have dictated the pace of the game.
Well, they have another corner. They put the pressure on. Ramon Morales with a decent delivery, and Chile under pressure straight away. Really could have been one of the fastest international goals of all time had Rodriguez planted that one away.
Well, it was a fine cross, but the defence was all over the place. The two centre-backs missing out the middle, and the full-back asleep. He allowed Rodriguez to get in on that back post.
Chile surviving a scare in the opening seconds, and they have it now with Luis Osorio. Leaves it for Eros Perez, who in a friendly against Mexico earlier this year managed to get himself sent off. I'll be hoping he can last the full 90 minutes against them this time around. Torrado wearing 6 is a feisty character in the Mexican midfield. Certainly puts himself about. I'm sure we'll see plenty of him. This is Ramon Morales. Once again, there are 2 players of the same name in the Mexican team, and they are 2 of 6 Mexicans in this squad who are on a yellow card. One more and they would miss the semi if Mexico progress. Chile with Montesinos and Navia up front, and it's their task really to follow in the footsteps of Zamorano and Salas. Easier said than done, and there is Ronaldo Navia.
Yeah, not too many opportunities, I suspect, for him, certainly in competitive international matches, and the chance to actually get his name and get established in the team, you know, get a few games under his belt, because I think at this level you really have to play consistently to get the understanding with your teammates. When you get an international side and they're not together that often, you know, come into a tournament like this a little bit cold, and you don't always play at your best because you don't really understand, get an understanding with the other people there because you've not played very well.
Well, Chile could have been behind in the opening stages, but now they're trying to set something up for themselves. Eros Perez losing out though. Arellano came to meet it, and now Vidrio gives it to the man who squandered that early chance, Johan Rodriguez, but it's cut out by Osorio. Denigris has given it back to Alberto Rodriguez. Arellano is the furthest man forward, but Denigris couldn't find him, and Garcia Aspe, who's been around for years on the international scene, sets up Ramon Morales, and Arellano's effort is going to be ruled out. Flag up.
Well, I've got to say, another quality crossing from that left-hand side. On that occasion, it must have been pretty tight because he just came in a little bit later. As the delivery comes in, we can't quite see on the. Yeah, he's just ahead of the winger there, but still got in the box again. Not picking up on that back post. Seems to be a bit of a Achilles heel in this team, but quality to cross, I've got to say, even though he wasn't under a lot of pressure to put it in.
Chile hardly heeding the warning that was posted to them in the opening minute. Here's Torrado. Gets it back from Rodriguez. Garcia Aspe. And well covered by the keeper. Garcia Aspe, now 34 years of age, and he actually played with the man who's now his coach, Javier Aguirre, in this Mexican team. So he must be starting to feel old.
Well, I've got to say that Mexico were very, very positive from the start. Totally dominated the game. Good possession. And Chile, for me, I just sat back, looking to soak up pressure and hopefully catch them on the break. But so far, it's been all Mexico, and there could have been 2 goals up.
They certainly have made a very bright start. Denigris had strayed offside. Chile actually have 4 players in their squad who play their football in Mexico, so they will know quite a bit about the team they're up against at the moment, although they haven't quite come to grips with them yet, that's for sure. Villaseca has found Eros Perez. Osorio. Osorio sending it up towards Montesinos, but nothing doing. Eros Perez will lose out to Alberto Rodriguez.
The pitch is quite narrow, isn't it? You know, if you look at the sideline to the 18-yard box, there isn't very much space, so a lot of the players look at times like they're getting each other's way. There isn't a lot of width on this pitch, so that's why it's important to keep possession and try and drag people in and switch the play to the wide players, and the Mexicans have done that very well so far.
Just going to go behind. Ramon Morales trying to latch on to the pass from Garcia Aspe, but Luis Fuentes went with him all the way. But Mexico certainly making the better start in this opening quarterfinal of the 2001 Copa America. Chile have played second best to Mexico in their recent meetings, including a friendly earlier this year, which Mexico won 1-0. And Mexico beat Chile rather twice at the 1999 Copa America, in the group stages and in the third place playoffs. So Chile probably think they owe Mexico one here. They have it with Ronaldo Navia. Eros Perez. Here's Montesinos. 3 goals in the tournament so far, but not the top scorer. That honour belongs at the moment to Manchester City's Paulo Wanshop, and he's coming up later in the second semi-final against Uruguay, Costa Rica, Uruguay. Eros Perez goes for the long one, but it's dealt with by Marquez, although at the expense of a corner.
They don't really look convincing to me, Chile. They seem to take it just playing at a very slow pace. There's no surprises in what they do, so that they're relying on one of the individual players up front to do something special for them. And at the moment, you know, Mexico are dominating, but this is the first real attack the Chileans have had.
Obviously the corners in the Copa America hasn't been great, and that one lived down to the billing. Eros Perez. Here's Osorio. Perez wants it back, but it'll be covered by Vidrio, who lets it run.
They seem to want to keep that solid midfield. They don't really want to commit too many players forward. That's why it's going to be difficult for the front runners to try and get support. So again, it's saying to them, do something special, but I don't think they get the ball up to them quick enough, and then when the ball is up there, the two central midfield players certainly don't look to move out of their position at all.
Well, both teams lost their last group game, and both teams were pretty poor in doing so. Chile completely outclassed by Colombia. Osorio's cross to Montesinos, powerful header. And a decent chance for Chile at last.
Yeah, again, he only had one player in the box. A good header, a long way out. It's what, 16 yards out? It would have taken some header to actually beat the keeper from there. But there isn't a commitment to get as many players forward. Nevertheless, they've had a good spell. This is the best spell of the match for them.
Here's Navia, who does look real talent. I knew he'd go and lose the ball as soon as I said that, but commentators curse, but he has impressed. Here is Tirado, no-nonsense midfielder, who'll be playing in the top flight in Spain with Tenerife, who've just been promoted back there. Here's Maldonado, one of the bright young things in Chilean football. He's had a rapid rise through the ranks at national level. Still only 21.
I suppose the ambition of most of these players to play in the European leagues, and obviously the wages and the profile is much higher than playing in their own domestic leagues.
Well, Montesinos, as we've come to learn in this tournament, fancies free kicks from anywhere. I do believe he's going to have a go from here. It's not a bad try, is it? Stung the palms of the keeper, but this boy has already proved in the 2001 Copa America that he can hit that ball.
45 yards, I make that. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's a fantastic strike, but if that goes in, we'll be asking the keeper a few questions. We get the expected Roberto Carlos, but certainly not. There's nobody else of that caliber would even attempt to shoot from that distance. But got the shot on target, and it goes down in the stats.
He did bang one in from about 30 yards against Ecuador, but that probably felt like a tap into him after that. Here's Osorio. Navia. Eros Perez can't quite take it with him. Tirado. Ramon Morales gets it back from Arellano, and Garcia Aspe is waiting. Vidrio. Mexico in their last game lost to Peru, but they made a lot of changes, rested a few players, and weren't particularly interested in the game, it must be said. allowing Peru to progress in the tournament. They went on to the quarterfinals as well, where they'll meet Colombia. The winners of this tie, incidentally, will play the winners of Costa Rica against Uruguay here in this stadium on Wednesday. And that means that potentially the other semi-final could be Colombia against Brazil, which would be a rather intriguing encounter to say the least. But a bit of football to be played before those semi-final lineups are sorted out. This is Ramon Morales, and he'll get a corner, will he? I think the goal kick's been given.
Well, he's looked impressive when he's had time on the ball. He's got past his marker on 2 occasions, and we've seen excellent crosses in there. They tend to be very patient, Mexico, keeping possession of the ball, waiting for the opening. And as we all know, when you haven't got possession of the ball, it's very difficult to try and get it back, and you're chasing them around and you never seem to get a kick. And then when Chile get the ball, they don't seem to be using it as well. They're not taking many chances, but at the same time not progressing as certainly the front runners would like them to be, because they're being a bit isolated.
Osorio away by Vidrio. Here's Arellano, who has been a key figure for Mexico in this tournament, but hasn't really got into this game yet. Montesinos to Rodrigo Núñez, but Rodriguez and Garcia Aspe are there or abouts for Mexico, who were well beaten by England at Pride Park in Derby in May, and that was the first of 60 defeats in a row for them, but they recovered to sneak a 1-0 win over the USA in a vital World Cup qualifier. But they really have been in poor form, so have Chile, mind you. So the semi-final beckons for one of the teams that were completely out of form really coming into this tournament. This is Ramon Morales, but he's just run it too far ahead of him, and that'll be a goal kick, but he's already shown that he can deliver from that side.
Yeah, he's very positive. We spoke about him before, and there's not very much gone down this right-hand side here at all. They tended to play the ball over there, keep possession on this right-hand side, as I said before, to try and draw the Chilean defence across and see if you can get one-on-one, and then deliver from there.
Rodrigo Núñez with the flick, but Montesinos couldn't do much with it, unusually in this tournament. Here's Eros Perez. And he gave it straight to Arellano, who tries to put Denigris away. A little shirt pull, perhaps, on Rojas, or was it the other way around? It's been given.
I was a bit surprised because the defender was favoured there. It looked like a little bit of a tug from the Mexican player, but the linesman, or the referee's assistant, was right there, so he saw something else.
Mind you, some of the refereeing and assistant refereeing has been high on the entertainment value in this tournament. Garcia Aspe whips the free kick in. Ramon Morales wasting no time, but rather aimless effort from him that time. It's the 17th meeting between the teams in the Copa America. Pretty close, actually, historically in this particular competition. 8 wins for Mexico, 7 for Chile, 1 draw. Not much between them, although in recent times Mexico have had the upper hand. No goals so far in the first of the quarterfinals of the 2001 Copa America, but a lively start. This is Villaseca for Chile, and Navia offside.
Yeah, the right idea. He just had to wait another half a yard. He'd been onside. He's looking across. He really shouldn't get cut off there. He's looking at the ball when he should be looking at the line of defenders. And initially the run is right, but he's gone too early. And he's not kept himself offside because he kept his eye on the ball. But they are looking for things over the top for the first time in the game, and I'm not so sure about the Mexican defence. They look a little bit vulnerable when Chile decide to push men on and bring the ball from midfield. This
is Marquez, who's been quite impressive for Mexico in the Copa America, plays his football in France with Monaco. Fuentes coming in to edge out Ramon Morales, but a throw-in for Mexico, who have finished in third place in the last two Copa America tournaments in '97 and '99. Can they improve on that this year? Chile have never won the tournament, or have Mexico, but they only started playing in it in the '90s. De Negris knocks it down, and Arellano, and Mexico gets a reward for their excellent early efforts. Arellano the scorer, and the team that has finished third in the last two Copa Americas are on course for a semi-final place, perhaps.
Now this is a nice move again on the left-hand side, and that seems to be the strength of the team. Plenty of options going forward. Yeah, it's a nice ball in. We didn't actually see. It was a beautiful touch off his head from De Negris. But Arellano straightened through under the keeper's body. First touch is good, takes it away from the defender, waits for it, nice and low, past the goalkeeper, didn't have time to get down. I think it's a good goal from that angle. The keeper might be a bit disappointed that he didn't do better, left his near post open, but I think we've got to talk about the positive end of it. Very, very good goal. And I've got to say that Mexico have deserved it because they are the better side.
De Negris and the goal scorer Arellano actually played together at club level as well for Monterrey, and it kind of showed there. Mexico with a 1-0 lead, and Chile with not too many complaints about it, really. Marquez, he was a little too casual then, but Chile unable to make the most of it. But with Montesinos and Navia up front, they're more than capable of recovering from this early setback.
I think they've got to change. Now they've got to change a little bit. They're going to have to push one or maybe even both of the central midfield players on to support them, because if they just leave, if it just stays as it is, they're out. So they've got to change his tactics.
Here's Alberto Rodriguez. They'll have to settle for the throw. That goal, only the second that Mexico have scored in the tournament, would you believe? They progressed to the quarterfinals, having only scored one goal, which is quite remarkable to get through your group, and comfortably through your group as well, only scoring one goal.
Yeah, we're just going to see the goal again, and just he gets, as the defender comes in, the near post, keeper beating on the near post, but nevertheless, his first touch was good, given that extra half a yard, and he kept it low. Always difficulty for the keeper to get there. I'd say no more than deserved.
Montesinos, though, he can make things happen for Chile, and so can Ronaldo Navia. Support available from Rodrigo Nunez. Here's Villaseca. Not quite the delivery that was wanted, though, by Maldonado, and Chile a little bit wasteful.
I don't think they can really get it together unless they get more players forward. I mean, they had a good opportunity there on the edge of the box, and they decided to actually go for the extra pass wide. You've seen people shoot from long range in this tournament, but I thought that maybe it was on for half a second there.
Oscar Perez in goal for Mexico in this game, replacing Osvaldo Javier Sanchez as the flag goes up against De Negris. Sanchez, the man who was beaten 4 times by England and who has played in the tournament so far, but losing his place for the quarter-final. Villaseca. Flicked on by Montesinos. Oscar Perez way out of his goal. Chile thought about taking it quickly to try and catch him out, but the option not really available. Torrado putting himself about for Mexico as usual. Montesinos for Chile, and once again he goes for goal very suddenly as well, but Oscar Perez will know what he's all about, Montesinos, in this tournament. He's proved his worth from distance.
It was well worth the effort. You know, there was 3 defenders around him, and I think it was the last thing people probably expected, but he just turned and hit it, and it was on target again.
Osorio up towards Montesinos. Away by Marquez, and here's Vidrio. Garcia Aspe. Ramon Morales advancing for Mexico. Maldonado came across, but it's a Mexican throw as we see that effort again.
Yeah, there's some curl on it as well. He did very, very well. As again, a long distance out. You would feel that if he had a chance a bit closer in, he might really trouble the goalkeeper. Very one-sided Mexico, you know, in terms of their attacking options. That they have a good possession on the right-hand side, but the side, they're not going to go down that side. They're going to come back inside and work the ball to the left-hand side. I would have thought that the coach of Chile might have actually set that out, maybe played an extra defender on that right-hand side, and then see what was going to come of it then. But straight from the kick-off, he should have told them that.
And we're now past the midway point of the first half. Mexico leading through a goal from Arellano. There was a slight delay so that Fuentes could return to the fray. Just needed a touch of treatment on the sidelines. Arellano, the goal scorer. Here's Vidrio. Marquez electing to go back to his keeper. Rodriguez on to Denigris. And, oh, surely. Now, was that inside the box or on the edge? It could well be. Well, it will be a card, that's for sure, for Rojas. Only a yellow card, though.
I think he's very, very fortunate. I think that was a goal-scoring chance. I think the referee's been very lenient there. He's in. It's a great 1-2 again between the two front players. Denigris, little header, knocked down, and he's pulled them back. That's a red for me. It's a red.
Well, the surprising thing is when you've seen some of the red cards that have been given in this tournament, makes it even more amazing that he's still on the field. Rojas, right on the edge of the box. He knew what he was doing in crude terms.
Well, it was the possibility that he was going to get a goal. I mean, and he stopped him from possibly scoring another goal. He shouldn't be on the pitch now. There's no doubt about it. He's got a good grip on the number 18 there.
Still a good chance for Mexico, though. Garcia Aspe can't find a way through the throng of players in the wall. And certainly Rojas lucky to get just a yellow as Mexico try and take an alternative route to goal. Rojas very fortunate to still be on the field, and Mexico still only the one up.
Well, this game in real time should be nearly over, because we're now talking about four possible goals. We've only got the one on the board, but you look at it and you think, well, will they come back? At the moment, they don't look like they've got anything that could really trouble Mexico. You have to get the scores on the board, particularly when you're dominating a game like they are.
Well, this is certainly the best that Mexico have played in the tournament, and I include their game against Brazil in that, when they weren't really anything special, nor were Brazil, that was the point. Mexico are going to have to make a change, though. Alberto Rodriguez is going off, and on in his place comes Zepeda, who's a striker, really, although I don't think he'll be that far advanced for Mexico as they make a change. And what's happening there? Because there was no flag that went up, but I think it was taken too quickly. The referee wasn't happy. For a horrible moment, I think Mexico thought that they were going to let Navia progress then. Navia's header, Rodrigo Nunez chasing, but it's away by one of the Ramon Morales on the field, and comfortably knocked back by Pedro Reyes to his keeper. Reyes, the Chilean captain. Here's Luis Fuentes. Osorio just clipped away from him, though. Well, Zepeda, who's come on, has always looked pretty useful when he has join the action. Montesinos with the cross, but just too far ahead of Navia, and marshalled by Ramon Morales. Well, say marshalled, he let it go a little bit actually.
Well, it was good play on the left-hand side, and the defender seemed to have the whole situation on it. Knew there was nobody behind him. If he'd have made contact, it could have gone into his own net. But he had it well marshalled there, and he let it run out, and that's good defending. But again, disappointing. Chile wants to get the ball up to the front players. Nobody breaking the neck to get into that box to try and get a goal to get them back in the game.
Vidrio taking a more direct route. Chile finished third at the Olympics last year in Sydney. Not many survivors, although a few in the squad here. Zamorano was very much the star of that tournament for them, but he's now retired, of course, from the international scene. Salas is injured, so they're having to rely on players who aren't really tried and tested at international level, but they're only going to learn if they play at this level. They're certainly struggling a little bit at the moment to make an impact in this first quarter-final, although here's a Rodrigo Nunes for Chile, and Johan Rodriguez did well. Torrado takes over. Arellano looking for it, and Vargas, oh, he spilt it! And Arellano strolls through, but the free kick is going to be given.
Well, I thought that was a collision between his own player and the goalkeeper. But maybe it was a little nudge on his back to knock him into the goalkeeper. But that was a lovely ball through. You just see it again. Well, this is the tackle that won the ball in the middle of the park. And they've done very, very well in the middle of the park there. Garcia Aspe is under a bit of pressure whenever he's been on the ball. And I think that's where it's all happening. I think Mexico are dominating the game because they're controlling the middle of the park.
Arellano barging into Fuentes. Here's Nunes. De Negris is hurt. Iroz Perez sent off last time he came up against the Mexicans. Not having much luck against him this time around, Chile, but plugging away. Montesinos. Not one of his better efforts that time, but as we keep saying, he's not afraid to have a go from distance, is he?
No, and I think as a forward you've got to do it sometimes. You kind of, I think we've seen this again. Yeah, I see that as, I think that was his own player knocked it out of his hands. And the referee must have seen something else, or he must have thought he'd seen something else more than anything. But yeah, just to go back to Montesinos, I think that, you know, managers look at the forward and say, how many shots have you had at goal? Certainly he likes to get his average up, but they aren't getting many chances, so whenever the ball does get, he gets good possession. He looks decent on the turn. He is a good striker of the ball, so I hardly blame him, because waiting for support, he could be waiting a long time, the way they're set out at this moment in time, Chile.
Fuentes gives it to Iroz Perez. Villaseca showed too much of that to Rodriguez and really followed through by the look of it. Nasty one.
Well, it was late. Without doubt it was late, and the referee's close by. He didn't initially give the free kick. I think, yeah, just a little bit late getting in there. Just caught him on the knee, and it's... I don't know when the referee's going to give a yellow card for that. Yes, he has done.
Villaseca joins Rojas in the book, and though he does have words to say about it, I don't think he can protest too much, really. Here's Maldonado, who's with the Brazilian club, Sao Paulo. Nunes, it was taken off his toes by De Negris, who was crudely taken out by Villaseca, who's just been booked. Tell you what, if he hadn't been booked, he might have been there.
Yeah, that's a nasty one. If you look at the side of his leg there, he's torn his sock. He's calling the trainer on. They've looked sharp, the two front players from Mexico. I think they've combined very well together. He's late. Very lucky to be still on the pitch.
Well, they could have been down to 9 men by now. Chile probably should have been. Certainly wouldn't have been the first team to see out a game with 9 men in the 2001 Copa America. This the first of the quarterfinals, coming a little later. Quarterfinal number 2, the unpredictable Palo Wanchop and Costa Rica take on Uruguay. And the winners of that game, kicks off at 11:30, will play the winners of this game in the semi-finals. Vidrio for Mexico, leaves it for Tirado. De Negris and Vidrio, an unlikely attacker.
Yeah, he just kept going. De Negris is linked up very, very well, played that target man role. Good movement, a good touch, and always looking to bring his fellow forwards and midfield players in, and he's looked a decent player, certainly so far in this game. He's been involved in all the good stuff.
Nunez. Well, I said that Mexico had only scored 1 goal in their group games, but to be fair to them, they only conceded 1 as well in a match that didn't ultimately matter to them against Peru, so they have kept things pretty tight at the back, and Marquez and Vidrio, who aren't regulars together in the national team, have formed a pretty useful partnership. And they need to be on top of their game with Montesinos and Navia around, that's for sure. Tirado. Here is Vidrio. Zepeda on as a sub for Rodriguez. He's been an ever-present in Mexico's World Cup qualifying campaign. Zepeda. Oh, De Negris steps in. Some fancy footwork. And what a vital interception from the Chilean captain, Pedro Reyes.
Yeah, again, De Negris just drifting all over the place. I think he must have be allowed just to come short and link up. Very, very well there, passes man. Just couldn't find Morales in the middle when he got free.
De Negris looking to get on the end of that. It breaks to Zepeda. Doesn't quite reach Arellano, the goal scorer. Maldonado made sure of that, and here he is again. Navia came to meet him. Now it might open up here for Chile. Villaseca leaves it for Osorio. This is much better from Chile. Montesinos just too far ahead of Navia.
You always feel with Montesinos that something will happen. You know he's going to have a shot at goal. Possibility there that he could have put one of his own teammates in there. That's a tap in. If they try and read the situation, even if the keeper made a save, it could be a tap in because he could knock it down, not hold on to the ball. But they haven't committed enough players into the box, and they're just hoping for something special from the likes of Navia or Montesinos.
Well, they have had a pretty woeful World Cup qualifying campaign, Chile, losing 9 of their 13 ties. Garcia Aspe, and Arellano's got in round the back. No, he hasn't. The flag is up just. In fact, only Venezuela are keeping Chile off the bottom of their World Cup qualifying group, which is a little embarrassing to say the least. Venezuela, the whipping boys of the South American World Cup scene. Is Maldonado. Firm challenge from behind. The referee wasn't going to give anything, but might well have changed his mind.
Well, there wasn't much in that. When the ball was actually played, I think he was onside.
Poor shout from the linesman.
Yeah.
This has been penalised as well.
Not allowed anymore. Tackle from behind. Allegedly, saying that's a former forward talking there.
got away with a few in your day, I bet.
Defenders could do what they wanted. They could kick you and the ball, and you could end up in the stand, and you might be lucky to get a free kick.
And it was Montesinos who tried to make contact with that. Here's Arellano. Cepeda has done well. Mexico looking for a second. Arellano, who got their goal. Cepeda. Here's Johan Rodriguez. Ramon Morales up towards Denigris, but that looked a more likely offside shout, that one.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get it. He's going to get a yellow card for shooting after the whistle's gone. I don't think the Chilean defenders helped the situation either, but he had plenty of time. He had plenty of time. He heard the whistle. He knew he was offside. No doubt about it.
Can't say I'm in favour of players who keep signalling yellow cards for their opponents and suggesting they should get one. Denigris has got one.
Yeah, I think that's an unfortunate thing that's come into the game. Not only obviously in these Copa America matches, but certainly seen it throughout Europe as well. In high-profile matches where the players are, going to the referee. I always feel that sometimes the referee kind of would cut it out if he just put his. He actually gave a yellow card to the one that was trying to get it done.
Well, the Chilean coach has obviously been listening to you. He has decided to change things around a little bit, with Nunes going off to be replaced by Valenzuela, who's been pretty much a regular actually in this tournament in the starting lineup, left on the bench today. But he comes on, plays his football in Mexico, in fact, for Leon, so he'll know a fair few of the players that he's up against here, Valenzuela. So both teams making a change in the first half. I think Rodriguez may well have taken a little knock, mind you, for Mexico. Perhaps more tactical for Chile, who are chasing it, a goal down. And a little fortunate not only to be just a goal down perhaps, but also to have 11 players still on the field. Although they have had their moments, with Montesinos looking as lively as ever.
And the referee just missed that, an elbow in the face. It was right under his nose, and he just let it go. It's a nasty knock there.
I think that's legal in South America. I think it's allowed occasionally. Captain got one.
Well, they've got the worst of it today, haven't they? Mexico, they're the team that's one or two knocks to the, certainly the midfield players there. Yeah, good, that right in the cheekbone. I think he knew what he was doing as well. He led with the arm. He's missed a couple of things, I've got to say. I mean, and when the goalkeeper there, that was it. That was for me an open goal. He should have let that go, but you just hope that Mexico don't rule the fact that they haven't got more than one goal.
By the way, if it's all square at the end of 90 minutes, there's no extra time in the Copa America. We go straight to penalties. Pedro Reyes clears straight down the throat of Vidrio, though. Not kept in by Iros Perez, a Mexican throw, and Chile a bit slow to pick up, allowing Rodriguez a chance to poke it through to Arellano. A vital save from Vargas, although Arellano might have caught it a little better.
That was a nice ball again. Chilean defence got caught square on the edge of the box, and he didn't really catch it as well as he wanted. He was stretching a little bit. The goalkeeper did well. I think if there'd been more pace on the shot, it would have been in the net.
Arellano's corner, and that was terrible from Rojas, but Chile. Oh, that's picked up by the keeper. Not quite sure if it came off one of his own men, but
yeah. We're just seeing this chance again. He's just stretching. He's not actually stood up. He's just poked it with his toe. Keeper's done well to get down, but I think more pace on that, and it would have beaten him.
Well, Chile will consider themselves a little fortunate, I think, to get the half-time. Just one down if it stays this way. And with their full complement of playing staff. Because Rojas and Villa Seca treading a pretty thin line, especially when you consider the number of red cards that have been flashed in this tournament. A record in Copa America history. Remember, they've been playing this competition since 1916. There have been 16 red cards for the players, a couple for the Brazilian coaches. Lovely move this from Mexico, involving Ramon Morales. Here's Cepeda. Chile are living dangerously, but Villa Seca was back there defending admirably.
Yeah, that was a great block. That looked a goal. He threw himself at it. Again, there's another elbow. The referee saw it this time, but has done nothing about it. He's been in the wars.
And that was Rojas, who should have been sent off earlier, and might well have been there had the referee seen it.
Yeah, here's the block. Fantastic. Look, he threw himself at it and blocked the shot. I'm not so sure the keeper would have got it either.
The referee certainly has a little bit go in this game. Mind you, I suppose we can't have the best of both worlds, really. They've been a bit too liberal with their red cards before. It's a corner kick for Mexico. Garcia Aspe always involved with their free kicks, but that one didn't quite go according to plan.
Not too many inventiveness, not too much inventiveness with the free kicks. It's just a straightforward try and get a crack at the over the wall, but both occasions just straight into the wall. I think that we want to try something else because it hasn't worked.
Arellano benefiting from the short corner. Oh, and it's deflected. Ramon Morales on the end of it. They cry handball, but nothing doing. I'm sure we'll get another look at that, but Chile have been so fortunate to be just one down in this first half. Here's Eros Perez. Valenzuela stumbled for Chile, and Garcia Aspe has it now. Ramon Morales. We are relying on our friends from South American TV to show us that potential handball again, which means that it's by no means certain that they will. Just 1 minute of added on time. Cepeda. Another late challenge from Rojas, who's on a yellow, remember. I wonder if the referee might come back for that. Here's Cepeda. Osorio. Hanging in there. Marquez. Over the top it goes, and there was no flag that time.
Oh, this is oh, I think it had a decent shout for a handball there. The referee again has missed it. I think it's I can't believe he's having a bit of a nightmare because he's missed vital things in the game. And if Chile come back and get an equalising goal and it goes to penalties and Mexico get knocked out, I think there'll be a bit of criticism of the referee. But I say he's let an awful lot go and missed vital things in the match.
Well, he blows the whistle for half-time. And Mexico with just a one-goal advantage, and really they should have had more. And Chile, you have to say, a little fortunate to still have 11 players on the field. But a semi-final place, still very much up for grabs, although Mexico perhaps should have put it out of the reach of their opponents in this first half. Half-time in Pereira, in the first of the quarterfinals in the Copa America. It's Chile 0, Mexico 1.
Hugo Sánchez las posibilidades de México, y efectivamente el ganador de este partido se enfrenta al ganador del partido entre las selecciones de Uruguay y Costa Rica que han jugado hoy en Armenia. El ganador de ese partido se enfrentará a la selección mexicana si es que al final se hace con la victoria en este encuentro. Si se diera un enfrentamiento Costa Rica-México, desde luego Ahí Javier Aguirre sí que tendría que tomárselo totalmente en serio, porque ese es un partido que se va a producir de nuevo en el calendario de la CONCACAF, en el grupo quinto, y es un enfrentamiento directo en Copa América, pero también un enfrentamiento directo con vistas al Mundial del año que viene. Johan Rodríguez siempre sonriente, charlando con el árbitro, y ahí tenemos a Óscar Pérez. Importante la temporada para Óscar Pérez, que con su club, el Cruz Azul, pudo ganar la Copa Libertadores. Vencieron en el partido de ida a Boca Juniors, perdieron, en el partido de ida con Boca Juniors, se adelantaron en el marcador en la Bombonera. Al final empató Boca, y en la tanda de penaltis el chileno Galdame, su compañero de equipo, que hoy no está aquí por sanción, falló el penalti, o detuvo el portero colombiano Óscar Córdoba, con el que Boca Juniors se proclamaba por segundo año consecutivo campeón de la Copa Libertadores. Bueno, pues ahí tenemos ya a la selección mexicana de nuevo agrupada en...
Welcome back to Pereira, where Chile can certainly count themselves very, very fortunate. Still very much in this quarter-final, when perhaps it should have been out of their reach. Fortunate to be only one goal down, and fortunate not to be at least one man down, because Rojas certainly should have been sent off for that tug on the edge of the area. And Fonseca went in for a challenge just after he'd been booked, and must be treading a pretty thin line too. Of course, it wouldn't be a game at the Copa America if we didn't get a red card at some stage. It's certainly looking likely if Chile carry on like they did in the first half, although the referee, remarkably, has been very lenient. Pereira is right in the heart of Colombia's most famous coffee-making region, and it's not far from Armenia, where later on the second semi-final takes place between Costa Rica and Uruguay. Tomorrow it's the turn of the host nation, Colombia. They face Peru, and Brazil meet Honduras. The first of the semi-finals will actually be played here. Chile or Mexico will face Costa Rica or Uruguay. Well, Carlos Simon, the Brazilian referee, has been one of the most talked about figures inside the Estadio Hernan Ramirez Villegas today.
I think without doubt he's I wonder if one of his assistants has mentioned one or two things to him. I mean, actually missing the things he's missed, they're vital. You know, the possibility of that should have been a second Mexico goal when the defender ran into the goalkeeper and knocked it out of his hands. And also the elbow on the side of the face. I mean, just so blatant. And he's let the tug go and just give a yellow card. I think that's a blatant mistake, because I think the referees themselves are told what to do. That there isn't, you know, no grey area anymore. He's just got to give a straight red, and he didn't do it.
Apart from all that, he's had a fantastic game, of course.
Well, there's still 45 minutes to go. As you said, the odds are that somebody will get a red card. It just that seems to be the most consistent thing about the referees. They're giving red cards out.
Well, Chile are going to start the second half, and wouldn't it be just typical of football if they were the ones to actually get through this quarter-final, having been largely outplayed in the first half. Chile in the red shirts then, with Valenzuela, a first-half sub. And he's making good progress. Mexico nearly scored right at the start of the first half. Chile looking to follow suit right at the start of the second half, but hang on, because here goes Ramon Morales. Leaves it for his captain, Garcia Aspe, closing in on 100 caps for his country. Zepeda, who came on in the first half. Arellano, who got the goal, going in search of another, and it might fall for Denigris. Decent defending from Chile that time. And treatment will have to be given here.
Well, I thought that a little bit of quick reactions there, and the ball could have been in the net, but Denigris wasn't that alert. He's still there, still a little bit in the dressing room, but I think that he'd have been a bit braver. He might have got his toe to the ball first, and it might have been in the back of the net. they've had so many decent chances, Mexico. As I say, the game should have been over by now. But the longer it goes on, the more Chile will feel that maybe they can nick a goal. And if it does go to penalties, well then it does become a little bit of a lottery.
Garcia Aspe will get a corner off Osorio. You can just see on the left of your picture there the Mexican coach, Javier Aguirre, whose dugout is down that way. Doesn't really get a central view of the action. But there's a bit of a chance to pass on information to his players when they're down that side and taking corners. Garcia Aspe delivers. Another disappointing corner in a long series of them in this tournament.
That's a nightmare as well from the defender. He's panicked, took his eye off the ball and miskicked it out of play. As you said, the corners have been very poor. Yet saying that, Mexico just before the break had played a short corner, and that seemed to, when the ball actually came off the defender's arms and hit the post, and that was thinking a little bit more about it instead of just putting a straightforward ball into the box.
Here's Maldonado, Montesinos. A bit of play acting perhaps from Christian Montesinos. Ramon Morales was the nearest man to him. Can't honestly believe he's that hurt, even if he was hit a little bit then.
No, I think he tried to get past. There's no way the defender would ever let you get past him there, especially with being so close to goal. So the arm went out and he more or less ran into it. But, a little bit dramatic.
Garcia Aspe. Torrado sold a little short by Arellano, but he hangs in there. Zepeda. Vitrio got a little careless then. Navia couldn't quite poke it through to his strike partner Montesinos.
Yeah, Vidrio came a couple of times in the first half, likely to come through, but I think him and Marquez look very solid in the centre defence there, and not too many times they've actually been breached, and they look a decent partnership. And I think you've got it strong as they've got through the middle. Garcia Aspe as well in the middle of the park, and then they got Morales and then the Negris up front. They've got a decent spine through the team.
Well, Marquez, number 4, plays in Europe, in France with Monaco. That was blocked by De Negris, who was on a yellow card for poking the ball in the net after the whistle had gone in the first half. Chile with the Rojas on a yellow, although he should have had a red, and Villaseca on a yellow as well. Ramon Morales trying to fend off Osorio. He gets help from Rodriguez. De Negris now. Slips it through to Arellano. Once again, those two combined to great effect, but it was a fine challenge from Luis Fuentes that bailed out Chile. The partnership between De Negris and Arellano, pretty useful, but then they do play together at club level.
Yeah, that was a lovely ball. I thought he should have gone for goal himself. I mean, he tried to make it easier, but the defender did well, but I think he had to just lift it over the goalkeeper. It was straight into the net.
Well, that one's going to drop for Garcia Aspe. It was Fuentes who got in the way of that as well.
Well, last-ditch defending again, throwing themselves at it in the box. And that's what's kept them in the game. Also, the fact that Mexico haven't really punished them when they've had the chances.
Here's Maldonado. And it's a little less crowded for Eros Perez. Montesinos. Well, they keep going. Perez delivers. In fact, he maybe goes for goal.
Well, I think that was meant as a cross. He tried to whip it in, but didn't get it right. But the keeper was alert.
Chile had lost 5 in a row coming into this tournament. Mexico had lost 6 in a row before they picked themselves up, beating the USA in the World Cup qualifier. Rodriguez Mexico looking forlornly for a penalty. Zepeda went down. And Osorio is taken out, and that'll be a free kick.
Well, they've got a bit more balance on that right side since Zepeda came on. He's given him that width on the right. That's not to say that he's as effective as Morales is on the other side. Sorry, Rodriguez is on the other side. So I don't know. They just have got to make this possession and the chances that they've got count.
Chile have never won the Copa America. 4 times runners-up in their history, a couple of times in the 50s, once in the 70s, and also in 1987. And they go one step further. They certainly won't be amongst the favourites to do so. Struggling a little bit here against Mexico. They're struggling a lot. Now Denigris, Vargas came a long way, not quite sure what he's up to here, but free kick has been given anyway for the challenge by Rodriguez, and he even takes that.
I thought Denigris should have done better there. Didn't really look like he wanted it. He didn't fancy the confrontation with the goalkeeper.
Here's Valenzuela, powering towards goal. Fine strike as well, and a good take from Oscar Perez.
Well, a little warning, we've been talking about it, you know, on the break. And again, that's really no other thing in his mind but having a shot at goal. A good strike, good take from the goalkeeper. But here we go, Denigris not really wanting. He could have got there before the goalkeeper. And then he's looking for the penalty, which he was never going to get, even from this referee.
Garcia Aspe. Not a bad try, but people will say he had it covered. Well, probably did, in truth.
Well, end-to-end stuff now. We're getting shots at both ends of the pitch, and the game is starting to open up a little bit more. Chile realising that by just seeing the game out isn't going to get them anywhere. They'll be out of competition, so they're a little bit more of a go. Still haven't committed as many men forward as I would like to see. You know, they're really going to get back into it. They have to get midfield players into the box.
Well, it's been a lively encounter. The quality of the game's obviously increasing as we reach the quarter-final stage now. Some intriguing ties still to come, but some good play from Chile between Valenzuela and Montesinos. Valenzuela went to ground. Here come Chile again with Villaseca, and he was just caught by Garcia Aspe. Valenzuela has made a miraculous recovery. Montesinos, Perez coming in, but bit of a miss kick really.
Yeah, but that's a bit more like it, isn't it? The midfield players moving the ball forward quickly, and no, the wing back coming up late on that left-hand side. Bad effort, but you know, all of a sudden now they realise they've got to do a bit more to put Mexico under pressure, and there's only that one goal in it still.
Montesinos, again, he goes for goal from way out, and maybe it'll come off for him. It has before in this tournament.
You got to say he does like it. I think if he catches one properly and gets it on the target, and it's not a high one, I think see the other players having a go on him for not passing. But as you said earlier, if he gets his share of goals, you can't really, you know, you can't criticise him for that. But maybe once or twice there are people in better positions.
3 goals so far in the tournament. One of them a real beauty. Well, they've all been quite good actually, but he did bang one in from 30-35 yards against Ecuador. That man Navia got the first goal of the 2001 Copa America in that game. A nudge down on Morales.
And the referee just having a little go at the forward there, because he just threw the ball away. A little bit of dissent. He'd be more upset with that than crack an elbow in the face.
Elbows are okay, but if you throw the ball away, that's it. Can't have that.
This is it, yeah. Threw his dummy out of the pram there.
If he turned around and landed one on the Mexican, he'd have been all right. Wouldn't have got taken off, I reckon. Garcia Aspe, nice 1-2 with Denigris. And Rojas sorts it out for Chile. Mexico still have hopes of making it to the World Cup next year, although they have a lot of work to do. Chile have blown their chances. Here's Arellano, who has scored the only goal of the game so far, although Mexico really should have had more. They'll look for another now. Is Zepeda. He's got his cross in too, and it was just taken away from Denigris by Pedro Reyes, the captain of Chile.
Yeah, it was a lovely ball, wasn't it? Good defending. He wasn't really put under any pressure. He knew there was somebody behind him. I think a bit more physical pressure might have forced an error there, especially in such a vital position.
Offside against Montesinos. Osorio put him through. Flag went up straight away.
I don't think there was any doubt about it.
Been in that position a few times yourself, eh?
I'd have a look, and then I'd get caught offside.
Rodriguez felt the effects of this challenge. Osorio picked on the ankle.
They're niggly little things, aren't they? I mean, he has gone for the ball, but he's missed it completely. And he hadn't really, I mean, for all the theatricals we've had, the trainers haven't been on.
You get the feeling if they were to come on, the treatment would hardly be lengthy for some of them. The overreactions that we do see now and again. Osorio. This is Villaseca. It's given away cheaply by Mexico, and Navia looking to make them pay for it. Osorio. Montesinos, that's a bad one. It's going to be a free kick for the challenge by Vidrio, and Montesinos, if he's okay, will almost certainly take the free kick, I think I could safely say.
I think he's all of a sudden he's going to be all right. He did get kicked, and it is a free kick, but he realises that he's near goal, so as you say, a miraculous recovery inside 20 seconds.
Navia also having a look at the possibilities. Oscar Perez sorting out his wall. Pedro Reyes is going to stand on the end of that wall. Ronaldo Navia looking most likely, in fact. It is Montesinos, of course, and he's wasted that one. I was going to say it would have been a big surprise had Montesinos not taken it, although after that effort somebody else might fancy a go next time.
I was surprised how close he was to the ball. I thought he should have took a run up. He tried to disguise the fact that he wasn't going to take it, or that he was going to take it, but I think if he just take a run at it, he struck the ball so well. Nothing, he could have taken one out of the wall with the power he's got, but he didn't even get it on the target.
These two countries finished third and fourth at the last Copa America, but only one of them can advance to the semi-final stage in 2001. Zepeda. Here's Rojas, who should have had a card to match the colour of his shirt in the first half. Montesinos unable to keep that in. Mexico with just 3 wins in 16 games they played this year, but they've been by far the better team in this encounter, although it'll only take one flash from Chile to draw level, and with Montesinos and Navia around, they are more than capable. It would be a huge injustice on the evidence of what we've seen in the first hour of the game if Chile made it to the semis.
Yeah, but they are pushing on now. You can see they're pushing the midfield on. They're taking a few more chances.
Perez with a long throw, but Marquez sends it right back to him.
Well, throwing the ball to Navi isn't going to really work. He's about 5'7". He really wants the ball to his feet. He's not going to flick it on with 2 6-foot centre-backs behind him.
Villaseca and Garcia Aspe doing battle. Still only the one goal in it, scored by Arellano for Mexico. Marquez sending that one out. Now, did he catch Navia? Referee comes to have a look.
It looks like he did catch him. Oh yeah, it's off the ball. It wasn't anything to do with the defender that was clearing the ball. It was I just blatant Vidrio just went to block him from getting there, from closing the ball down. I got a feeling he's got a yellow. Yes, he has, quite rightly as well. There was no need. I don't understand why he did it, because the defender was forced to the ball and he was going to clear it.
Osorio and Perez stand over the free kick for Chile, who are looking for an equaliser. Fuentes has moved into the box. Perez takes the free kick. It was cleared by Ramon Morales. Montesinos comes to receive, but De Nigris steps in for Mexico, although their relief will only be temporary. Fuentes, Chile offering a bit more in this second half.
Well, the sustained pressure for really the first time in the game, just keeping the ball and keeping the pressure on, keeping Mexico penned in their half. Going through a little bit of a nervous time, the Mexicans. Still only that one goal in it.
Osorio. Perez. Well, that was ambitious, to say the least.
He's lost his head a bit. All it wanted was a little delivery into the box. I think Valenzuela was on that far post, I think.
Mexico won the Confederations Cup a couple of years ago, beating Brazil in a thrilling final 4-3, but they made an abysmal defence of that trophy this year, going out of the group stage with only a whimper. Not been having the best of times lately, and were thrashed by England, of course, in May. Here's Villaseca for Chile. Osorio. Maldonado is waiting on the right. Here he is. But Maldonado's cross is trying to think of a word to describe that, but probably not one I could use or broadcast.
I think that he's got a rush of blood to the head there, because he got in a position where he's not been in at any stage throughout the game. His delivery was very, very poor. He didn't really do anything. All he wanted to do was get it into the box as quickly as possible. He didn't try and commit the defender at all.
De Nigris. Mexico aiming to move in for the kill. They haven't had too many chances to do that in this second half. They certainly did in the first half. Arellano. Rojas snapping away at him. Here's Ramon Morales. And he'll get the free kick now. This could be promising for Mexico.
And they went for the tight line, but it was positive. Even though I felt that he'd overran it, but I don't think the defender needed to do anything. I think the keeper would have picked it up anyway. I think he overran this. He just had to step out. A bit reluctant, aren't they? You get South American defenders, that they don't like people going past them, and he just could have lifted his foot here, because he was never going to get the ball. He just had to step out of the way, and they wouldn't have got the free kick. But now they've put themselves under more pressure. I've got to say, the quality of the free kicks so far haven't been too good, so maybe they've got nothing to worry about.
Now you've said that, they'll bang this in the top corner.
That's the idea.
Mexico are certainly hoping so. Marquez and Garcia Aspe stand over the free kick. It's Marquez. He gets a second bite. No, he doesn't. Garcia Aspe has a go. And you were right, another pathetic free kick, and now an offside flag.
Yeah, and they push out very quickly there. Chile, once the ball is blocked, and they left a row of 3 or 4 Mexican players in there. And it is again, no doubt about the offside. In fact, if you look at the referee's assistant, he's not up with the play either. He's got caught watching the game a little bit there.
Well, double substitution, one for either side. Chile waiting to bring on Manuel Niera, who's a striker. Mexico also making a change with Johan Rodriguez being replaced by Mercado, who actually came on in their last group game against Peru and really got them going a little bit after a generally lethargic performance. So Mercado is on for Mexico, and Perez has made way for Chile to allow for the introduction of Manuel Niera, who actually had a spell in Spain with Las Palmas not so long ago, although I can't honestly remember him figuring much in their league campaign, where they consolidated their place in the top flight in Spain last season, having won promotion. He's now back home, incidentally. I don't think he'll quite go down as a Las Palmas legend somehow. Montesinos trying to put himself about. There is Niera. He did well at the Olympics last year for Chile, and he certainly got a few goals in the league this season. Chile looking for an equaliser, but a foul from Reyes, the captain, on one of the Ramon Morales.
Ramon H. Morales. I think it's looking a little bit nervous, Mexico. They tended to sit back on the lead now, and they do look very good going forward, particularly against Chile, who were, you know, on the back foot from the beginning of the match.
Bit of time wasting, and a yellow card for the goalkeeper, Oscar Perez.
You can have a broken jaw, but if you time waste, you get a yellow card.
Yep, those are the rules in the Copa America. 5 yellow cards now. 3 for Mexico, 2 for Chile, and if we do get through this game without a red, then, well, it'll be an unusual occurrence in this tournament. Goalkeeper Vargas smothering the centre from Zepeda. Osorio takes over for Chile. And here he is again, busy with the midfielder. Valenzuela. Villaseca. Osorio. Here's Rojas. Chile got off to a fine start in the opening game of this tournament, beating Ecuador 4-1. They then edged past Venezuela a little uncomfortably, it must be said, 1-0, before being totally outplayed in their last group game by the host nation, Colombia. They lost 2-0, but should have lost by a lot more. Familiar story this time around, although they've been much better in the second half.
Well, they've been given the onus, haven't they? I mean, this is just a body check, really. He just caught him just above the knee, but I think the Mexicans are quite happy to sit back, and they've given them the onus to go and take the game to them, and you know, when you just try to defend the lead, something is going to happen to change the course of the game.
Maldonado takes the free kick, but that's pretty poor, straight through to Oscar Perez. Mexico won't mind if they're all like that in the remaining 20 minutes.
No, it's not something you expect at this level, is it? To actually play a straight ball into the keeper's hands. I didn't even have the option of playing the ball square to somebody else to put it in at a better angle.
Mexico are going to make another change. They're going to take off Denigris, who's done quite well for them, and bring on Daniel Osorno. Mind you, he's a bit useful as well, the number 11. He's 22 years of age, played in the last Copa America when he was only 20. And he's on for Denigris, who's put in a decent shift.
Yeah, he's looked a little bit tired, but I think what they've done, they've decided to have more of a defensive lineup. And
is Arellano, but he's dragged that one wide.
Yeah, they're protecting the lead a little bit now and looking to catch on the break. But it's, as I say, they look much better to me when they're going forward, and they created so many more chances. But it hasn't happened now over the last 15 minutes or so. We've seen we've seen Chile take the game to the Mexicans, and whilst they haven't really created anything, you just feel as the game gets later on and players start to get a bit tired, lack of concentration, and one mistake and they're back in it.
Well, the winners of this quarter-final will play the winners of the second quarter-final, which is coming up a little later. Paulo Wanchop and Costa Rica take on Uruguay at 11:30. Will it be Mexico or Chile waiting for either of them in the semi-finals? We shall see. And Wanchop, really the star of the tournament so far. He's turned it on, and you can see him later. He's also on a yellow card, if I remember correctly, so he's got to be careful. Tirado slips it through to Arellano, who could finish off Chile. Just over, so close, but still, it's a slender lead.
Yeah, I think he did fantastically well, didn't he? And this is it, he's going for the chip. It's much too high. And to actually beat his goalkeeper, he's over 6 foot, well over 6 foot tall. I think he had him in a good position. He could have picked out a corner, but he's gone for the chip. Wrong option.
Huge kick from Marquez, and here's Osorno just come on, but free kick had been given. Maldonado. Mira is never going to get nearer that.
And that was again defender panicking as soon as someone closed him down. They really need the ball up the other end if they're going to make any impact, and that's good play from the goalkeeper. He took some chance there.
Villaseca makes a miraculous recovery in time to take the free kick. Osorio. Well, he lost his way a little bit, Osorio, and Mexico with Daniel Osorno advanced towards the Chile goal. Just can't finish them off, but maybe they will here. Cepeda's cross. Osorno. He lost out to Reyes. Chile are going to make another substitution in a moment. But not yet, because Navia is trying to set something up for them. This is Valenzuela. Montesinos takes over. Quickly closed down, and just as well, because he'll have a pop from there if he can. Maldonado. Valenzuela taking on Marquez, and he's got round him. And Mexico bailed out by Sono, I think it was, he got back.
Well, Javier Aguirre must be very worried with what he's seen in front of him now. They're coming on stronger, and they've brought on another sub just so that they can another fresh pair of legs. And that look very likely at the moment.
In comes the corner, all the way across. Ooh, and very nearly bundled in.
And that was a miss. He's not made proper contact to it.
Mexico now with Garcia Aspe finding Arellano. And Chilean substitution, by the way. Henriquez on for Maldonado. A straight swap, really. Henriquez on a yellow card in the tournament, though, so if he gets another, he'll be out of the semi. But it doesn't look at the moment like Chile are going to get there, although I have to say, the longer it goes on here, quite fancy Chile nicking one.
Well, they're coming stronger and stronger, and as they get closer to the end of the match, it's just becoming a situation where they're going for broke. It doesn't matter whether they lose 1 or 2 or 3, but if they can get one themselves, I think they'll be quite happy, considering the way the game has gone and the amount of chances that the Mexicans have missed. They go to penalties, and then, as you say, it becomes even again.
I have to say, all bar 2 of the games I've seen myself in this Copa America have finished in 1-0 scorelines, so I think I'm a bit of a jinx, but it might change tonight in the final quarter of an hour in Pereira. And if Chile do draw it up, and it is level at the end of 90 minutes, there's no extra time, it goes straight to the lottery, straight to the penalty shootout.
Certainly can't see the likes of Chile scoring any more than one goal. You know, they really don't have the options.
Might have a chance here. Oscar Perez, like so many continental keepers, electing to punch that away, but that's the right idea that time. Torrado.
It's very effective there, just getting it away, because he could have tried to catch and then collided with the forward and maybe dropped it, so very effective.
Quarter-final that should have been out of Chile's reach in the first half, really. And they should have been down 10 men as well, but here they are, still with 11 and still plugging away, looking for an equaliser. Here's Manuel Mira. He went for the one place where there wasn't really one of his compatriots around. Mexico were not the most attractive of teams to watch in the group stage. They did beat Brazil, although Brazil were very poor that night, and in their other two games they drew 0-0 with Paraguay and lost 1-0 to Peru. But so often in major international tournaments, teams that don't do particularly well at the group stage but get through all the same suddenly come alive when a competition reaches its later stages. That's packed a bit of a punch, Navia, but Oscar Perez not really troubled too much. No, but they're most of the second half has been in the Mexicans' half. I've got to say they've had the better chances, Mexico, despite not having the bulk of the possession. It's Ramon Morales, thought about going for it himself. It's dragged back here, just behind Garcia Aspe. Osorno, and Mexico have finally got that second goal. It's Daniel Osorno who drills them towards the semi-finals. Surely now it's all over for Chile. Mexicans celebrate because despite not impressing that much in the group stages, they are ready to advance.
It was like slow motion this, it just the ball went past everybody. Osorno on the edge of the box, straight through, came through the defender's legs as he threw himself to try and block it, and the keeper saw it too late to stop it. But it was just for a moment, it just looked like all the defenders couldn't just get to the ball, and as it rolled out to him, it's a very good strike. Keeper got a hand to it, but not strong enough. I think they're home and dry now, Mexico.
Well, they took their time, but they're not going to rue their missed chances in the first half, it seems. Justice is likely to be done here, with Mexico set to reach the semi-finals. Although Chile will get a free kick. The referee not too impressed with what went on there, but that was the strike from the sub, Osorno. Said when he came on that he looked pretty lively, but he's only played a minor role really in Mexico's success in this tournament.
I think that gives Mexicans a little bit of breathing space. They know now that the possibilities of Chile getting two are very remote.
Well, pass from Zepeda though, giving Chile a hint of encouragement.
Yeah, but up to that point, you just felt that there was always a chance that Chile would get back in it. You don't really feel that now with the second goal. Saying that, you never know.
Especially with Montesinos ready to have a go from absolutely anywhere.
Yeah, he's sometimes when people trying to play in off him, and he's using them as a decoy all the time, and people starting to read and say, well, just leave him there, let him have a shot from that angle. Did you get one out of 1,000 that hits the target, or one that even that scores a goal? So a very frustrating player to play with.
Nira has got it back, and he's delivered as well. And Chile will get a corner, maybe with 8.5 minutes or so to go. They can give themselves a lifeline, as we see again the goal that Mexico hope has ensured their passage to the semi-finals. Long time coming. Valenzuela's corner. Mexico should have been more than one up at half-time, and that man Rojas should have been sent off in the first half. Valenzuela is about to have Tirado on him. Not impressed.
Well, he's give a goal kick. It's a corner, blatant corner. And the system was right there on it, so, well, he must have seen something. He must have caught his boot as it ran out.
But I wouldn't count on it. Sorno flicked that on. Mexico have rather bizarrely scored twice as many goals in this quarter-final than they did in the entire group stage of the tournament. Just the one goal that beats Brazil. They failed to net against Paraguay and against Peru, but still progressed. They certainly saved their best for this quarter-final. They are sitting pretty on a 2-0 lead now. And waiting for them, it seems, in the semi-finals are Costa Rica and Uruguay. Or Uruguay, rather. The artwork they're up against both, that's for sure.
I don't think that would work somehow.
It's Nira. Away by Ramon Morales, and it's just a case of seeing it out, really, for Mexico, who are heading for their 4th straight victory over Chile. Say that in the semi-final there are going to be a few Mexicans on a very thin line as far as discipline is concerned, because I think they'll have 8 players in the squad on yellow cards, and if they were to be booked again in the semi-final, they'd miss the final, assuming Mexico get there, of course. Here go Mexico, looking for another. Ramon Morales well advanced. Garcia Aspe and Henriquez entangled.
Yes, and there's a little bit of afters there. Again, the referee didn't see it.
Which is not a great surprise, it has to be said.
Well, it's very consistent in that respect.
Mexico almost home and dry. Garcia Aspe and Ramon Morales standing over the corner. You've got to fancy Costa Rica in the second semi-final, really, on current form, although maybe Uruguay are saving their best for this stage as well, because they've hardly impressed so far in the tournament. So the potential semi-final lineups, I guess, are Mexico against Costa Rica, and Colombia against Brazil is also a possibility, of course. If that happens, that'll be some match. Colombia, the host nation, that would have been a fine final, but they will have to meet at the semi-final stage if they both get through quarter-final stage. Mexico will get to stay here in Pereira, where the first semi-final will be played. Fuentes for Chile, who will be heading home unless they come up with an amazing comeback. But even Montesinos is not getting much of a sniff now. Mexico continuing a pretty decent record in the Copa America, which they only started playing in 8 years ago. Been runners-up once, they finished third twice. And here they are on the verge of another semi-final place. For the third Copa America running. Seems they're going to be in the semi-finals.
Yeah, very good record. You would think, you know, the quality of some of the teams in the South American group. You fancy that Mexico done extremely well. When you've got the likes of Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, who are a fairly young team. You look at it all the time and think, well, they've always been and got good results in this competition. And, obviously enjoy it a lot. Of course, they're in the other World Cup group, aren't they, with the United States, which is really...
Yes, they've got a bit of ground to make up there as well. Javier Aguirre's Mexico. He's only just taking charge of them. Sorno, who got their second goal, by the way, also scored in the last Copa America. 1 goal against Venezuela when he was just 20. Manuel Neira seeking out Christian Montesinos, but it's all over really for the Chileans, who weren't really fancied to get this far, in fact, with their woeful run coming into the tournament. Everybody thought that Colombia and Ecuador would progress from the group, but Ecuador were edged out and certainly turned over by Chile in the opening game of the tournament. Garcia Aspe to Ramon Morales. Arellano. Well, Ramon Morales doesn't need any help. And the keeper just stopped it.
Yeah, he did fantastic. What a run that was. I think taking on the last man, going past him, beating for pace. And the keeper just got his foot to it. But deserved the goal. That was a great run.
Valenzuela. I think he thought about going down there, but he hasn't got any time to. Chile trailing 2-0.
Here we are again. Tried to do just side-footed past the keeper, and he saved it with his feet. It's a good save, but he'll be disappointed because he deserved the goal at the end of that run.
Mexico, remember, beat Chile twice in the 1999 Copa America in the group stage and in the 3rd and 4th place playoff. They also beat them in a friendly earlier this year. So Chile are most definitely sick of the sight of Mexicans at the moment. Osorio. It's been a solid showing from Mexico, though. They have thoroughly deserved to advance to the semi-finals. Osorio, away by Vidrio. And remember, we'll see what happens here with Chile. Remember, although they haven't exactly been free scoring in the competition so far, they don't give much away. Just the 1 goal conceded in the group stage to Peru. And Chile have been unable to breach them despite the efforts of Navia and Montesinos. And Navia a little frustrated, and I dare say Pedro Garcia is not having the best day of his life either.
No, I don't think it's... well, it hasn't been a great performance, but I think they need to be more... I wonder what's going to happen here.
Do you think he'll go for goal?
There's a possibility.
He might fool us, but I don't think so. Montesinos, well, in the end he did curl it in, but Oscar Perez dealt with it. Osorio sent it straight back to the keeper. We're in added on time. And Chile are heading out of the 2001 Copa America, but Ramon Morales is heading towards their goal in the meantime. It's going to come to Cepeda. Some fancy footwork from him. Oh, and it probably deserved a goal, but he's not going to get one.
Yeah, he's probably given himself a chance to play in the semi-final. Cepeda, that was a beautiful piece of trickery there. Dropped his shoulder, and it looked like he was going to cross it, and the keeper come out and just got it over him, but forcing that into the goal. Fantastic piece of individual skill. And it was a tap in for somebody again. A little bit about the possibility of just following things in. You never know what comes back.
Time almost up for Chile in the 2001 Copa America, but remember there's another game to come this evening in the quarterfinals. It should be some battle as well between the rather unpredictable talents of Paulo Wanchop and his Costa Rican pals, and Uruguay, who, a bit like Mexico really, never quite got going in the group stage, but then look at Mexico here, they have got going. They are in the last four. Manuel Mira's cross kind of sums up Chile's night or afternoon. It's all over, and Mexico are in the semi-finals, where they will meet Costa Rica or Uruguay, who play a little later. Mexico totally dominated the first half, but only had one goal to show for their efforts from Arellano, but they did manage to move in and finish off Chile in the end, thanks to the substitute Daniel Osorno. Chile out of the Copa America, but Mexico produced their best performance, saved their best for the quarterfinals. It finishes in Pereira. Chile 0, Mexico 2.